Erickson is with us, conservative radio's host. I'd say the conservative radio's smartest and, dare I say, sanest voice as well. Look, I had all the lines, right? It's, you can't go nowhere to go but up for the campaign. Guy wants to be president, can't figure out how to announce for president, on and on and on. And then I came back to what I wrote before this and said, nobody's going to care.
Right. No one is going to care. No one will remember. It will certainly go down, I think, for campaign strategists in the future of a reminder that you do need to control your launch and not hand it off to Elon Musk to do. He can say, look, I got 700,000 people waiting on Twitter, crash the site, something Trump never did when he was on Twitter, but it's not really going to matter. It'll give him a one-liner. What matters is what he does in these first states. You've got Iowa, New Hampshire, you've got South Carolina, where you already have Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, and Donald Trump, plus you've got Nevada. Can he organize? What his super PAC is doing differently than what Jeb Bush's super PAC famously burned through a lot of money doing ads is they're doing a ground game effort, which is very unique for a super PAC. They're hiring people in those first 4 states to knock on doors repeatedly in areas. They're training college students. That's very unique for a super PAC to do, and it may be the difference between him and a President Trump who's going to have to spend most of his money on the E. Jean Carroll second lawsuit, the New York prosecution, the possible Georgia and federal prosecutions. It's a lot of money tied up in lawyers, not ground game.
Fair. He also has an enormous loyal following, and I've yet to find anybody who's super loyal to Ron DeSantis. People are excited that he might be able to win the general election. But I think about what Donald Trump said, or Trump's spokesperson just said to Kelly Meyer. Glitchy tech issues, uncomfortable silences, a complete failure to launch, and that's just the candidate. You and I have seen this before, right? Of these super PACs with enormous amounts of money, these candidates who were all but inevitable, that were sort of protected from the national press. I'm thinking Scott Walker. I'm thinking Jeb Bush. I'm going back to Paul Tsongas. I'm thinking about Hillary Clinton, both in 2008 and in 2016. High expectations are normally like the worst thing in politics, are they not?
Yeah, they are. And I don't know whether it was by design or not, but his failure to get in earlier allowed expectations to peak and then crash. His polling certainly went down as well. You referenced Scott Walker, for example. The polling average at this time in 2015 for Scott Walker was only 5%. It's still about 25% for Ron DeSantis, while over 50% for Donald Trump. A lot of strategists I've talked to in the other campaigns think Trump is probably at a ceiling and DeSantis is at a floor. We'll see what he can do with all these other candidates in the race. The only thing DeSantis has really accomplished in the last couple of months, besides the poll numbers coming down, is encouraging others to get into the race. Now that he's here, let's see what he does in Iowa, New Hampshire in the next couple of weeks, and maybe he'll impress. There are hints that his campaign can fire on all cylinders when they pivoted to go to Des Moines when Donald Trump canceled. Let's see what else they have.
Yeah, I guess you could say that the pivot to Des Moines in Iowa, which was beautifully pulled off when Donald Trump wasn't there, and joking about how great the weather was when Donald Trump said he canceled his rally before the weather, that was sort of masterful. And then you have this launch on Twitter Spaces that just seemed sort of completely ignorant of how many eyeballs they would have and pretty haphazard. I think about how the media is going to play in this, and I was having a conversation earlier sort of about how Ron DeSantis has been in his bubble, in his safe space. He doesn't talk to the typical national media, and to a certain extent, who can blame him? Vanity Fair headline: Ron DeSantis will formally announce his 2024 bid with Elon Musk. Apparently, David Duke wasn't available. To be friends, this seemed more of like an opinion piece than it did Vanity Fair's actual reporting. But how long can Ron DeSantis live in this bubble before voters who aren't in the bubble and aren't on Twitter, because Twitter is not real life, how long does he live in the bubble before he actually has to go out, retail politic in New Hampshire, in Iowa, in South Carolina, where there's going to be cameras and there's going to be reporters asking questions?
I think that starts next week, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does. My suspicion is, taking some advice from the Youngkin team, he's going to bypass a lot of the traditional media Q&As, because all they're going to want to ask about is Trump and him versus Trump. He'll spend more time with local news reporters who tend, in the lay of the landscape, to be a little more conservative or out of the media bubble from D.C. and New York. So a lot of local interviews on local stations in Iowa and New Hampshire, a lot of time with voters.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.